All right, time is 6:15. The lockdowns and quarantines over the past year they put a dent in anybody's travel plans.
They sure did. But now that many of us are heading back to airports, there are new concerns about the airline rewards programs.
Yeah.
Don't worry, Tiffany Craig's connecting the dots.
You can thank the COVID pandemic for a whole lot of unused airline miles, but experts warn you may want to use them sooner than later. Let's connect the dots. Value Penguin crunched the numbers and found a massive amount of airline reward miles went unused in 2020. That's not a big surprise. With restrictions in place and COVID concerns, not a lot of people were traveling last year. It found that the 5 major airline loyalty programs ended the year with a combined $27.5 billion in unused miles. So here's the problem. The airlines had a really rough 2020. Forbes estimates the 6 largest airlines lost $35 billion. All those outstanding miles are considered liabilities, which means they count as a loss when you're balancing the books. Now that people are starting to travel again, many will be using those stockpiled miles that do little to help the struggling airlines. Travel experts predict the airlines will start changing rules to help their bottom line. That could mean reducing the value of rewards or reinstating expiration dates on the miles already earned. That means the experts recommend using those rewards as soon as possible or run the risk of getting grounded. Connecting the dots, I'm Tiffany Craig, KHOU 11 News.